Make sure you turn in. This is a side scroller exclusive.
We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
I did. Oh, wow. Right on the tip. Just on the tip.
And Blabs. Co-hosted by our friends from around the internet.
There is a portion of Norway where it is legally required to carry a firearm at all times.
If you're just a normal man looking for common sense in this crazy-ass world, you've come to the right place. And now, broadcasting from our homes from around the internet, it's time for Side Scrollers.
Okay, you ready? Open wide!
Welcome out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and, of course, SideScrollersPlus.com. I hope the music's going underneath me because I can't hear it, but that's okay. Greetings from the Gulf of America inside the sunroom. Got a challenge today, Blabs. It's going to be a good one. How are you?
You have a challenge today?
Yes.
What's your challenge? Reading?
But, yes, that's all. You know, that's always the challenge for sure. But the challenge is today, as we are from inside. If you notice, I'm in a sunroom today. By the way, is the music going underneath?
Don't worry, it's gone now. I turned off the light for you too.
Thank you, appreciate it. I don't know, it's all weird. Either way, the challenge today, being inside the sunroom, is to see how bad the pits will be sweating by the end of the show. Because I'm telling you right now,
you didn't need to point that out. Thank you, though.
Well, I do actually want to point it out. I do want to point it out because I will be sweating profusely by the time this show is over. Because it is hotter than hell in this little sunroom. Because I wanted to avoid the, we had all the seagulls and everything yesterday.
Yeah, but it was
and the
so
wind.
nice, the seagulls yesterday. It was like a mini vacay.
Well, they picked up the wind has picked up since yesterday.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so I didn't want to be like the entire time. So, yeah. But I'll tell you what, we got a great guest today. I'm very excited. It's the first time in a long time. Yeah, it's Autism Thursday. Gary. Everybody welcome Gary. Gary, what's going on there? Gary, there you go.
Autism for the win. I love it when it's weaponized. Greetings, everybody.
Hi.
Oh, man. How's everything going?
Everything's going good. Everything's going good in my life, except, for Black Snape and Marvel dying and Star Wars dying and so many other things. But we have each other. Doctor Who.
Did you see that post the other day for Women's Day, and then they stuck the tranny in there, and I was like, nice.
Yeah. Put a dude on the International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Who hauled out Dylan Mulvaney for? Wasn't that The View? Didn't The View?
Yeah, it was The View.
Oh my God, did they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like, Blabs, as a woman, how insulting is that?
It's very insulting, and I mean, like, how dare you assume my gender also? But yeah, no, bullshit, really. It's just like, hey, look all these amazing women that have accomplished stuff throughout time and space, and no, we're gonna stick a man in there. It's like, okay, cool.
Can I give you
like,
my
I'm
theory
not on men here. It's just like the mentally ill men just need to go away.
Yeah.
So
for International Women's Day, they should have forgiven Carlos Sofia Garcon from Amelia Perez. They should have.
She didn't even
that.
win his Oscar. So sad.
No, I was rooting like hell for him.
Come on.
I have this theory when it comes to Dylan Mulvaney. I don't think it's that crazy, but and I'm sure somebody else has said it, but I think Dylan Mulvaney is the classic theater kid who was searching for fame and bounced around until the little bit of traction came on at the right time. And now Dylan Mulvaney is obsessed with being a woman because the idea of, well, I use that in quotations, because it's the one thing that caught on and brought Dylan Mulvaney fame.
Yes.
That's
absolutely. There is no shortage of people in Hollywood. There's a saying, I will be anything you need me to be. Let's look at the past of what people have been willing to do, go into Harvey Weinstein's office for fame, do a lot of things for fame. It's really not even shocking that a dude would put on woman face to be famous. And that's why there's such a high percentage of trans kids, which don't actually exist in Hollywood and in London. And I would love, again, I've asked for this. We need to find somebody who's truly autistic to do the numbers of the percentage of how many celebrities have trans kids compared to real life.
Yeah,
Well,
that'd be so interesting. But then you'd have to be like, how many of them are very private about their trans children, right? So they have them, but they're not out there talking about it too.
0.001%.
That's also true. They're all very loud and proud. Actually, speaking of, okay, you know David Tennant's wife, Georgia?
Yes.
She's batshit nuts.
She is nuts.
Oh my God. I went through her Instagram the other day. She was like breastfeeding her child after like 2-3 years of age. Yeah, what the fuck? Like this is a toddler and just breastfeeding on Instagram too. It's like, whoa. And she like has like they, them pronouns for one of the children. Like these are minors. Oh my God. She's got rainbows and butterflies for them. Oh, wow. Yeah. Insane.
When your kid can just go, hey, Mom, can I have some of that tit? You know, it's probably not a good.
She's Liza Aaron. That's what she is.
She's
up there in the Erie, breastfeeding her 8-year-old. She will be doing that. No, that's weird. That's when it gets into kink territory, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm not going to show the breastfeeding because we might get hit.
And for
that's the child.
Yeah. For the people in the chat, well, you guys are all awesome, but you might bring up, hey, you know, back in Neolithic times, they had to do that. We're not Neolithic times, okay? We're not in the medieval times. You stop breastfeeding your kid at a certain point.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, it's part of their. I mean, they have to. You have to separate from the teat at some point in life. The kid's going to be a hot mess.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And guess what? Everybody in the UK gets to pay their medical bills.
That's right.
Well, speaking of the
their
UK,
medical bills.
This is the other child. Happy birthday to them, she says.
Oh,
nuts. And look at her. Oh, there's the boob. But look, there is her bio.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, she's letting everybody know how. Like that is the most virtue signaling.
Okay, she's the daughter of Peter Davidson, so the
I
fifth
know.
Doctor, and he doesn't think like. I know he doesn't think. He's gotten in trouble in the past, saying like the Doctor shouldn't be a woman. So it must drive him mad. And then David out there completely ruined his career.
He was so fun. Like early 2000s, like even like 2010.
Yeah.
Tennant, top tier, absolute wonderful, charming specimen of a man. And now look at him. It's like, I'm having mighty have fallen. It's very depressing.
Matt Smith's a better Doctor now. He just jumped up there.
Yeah, he really did. You don't see him bitching about stuff on interviews and everything. He keeps to himself. Yeah, like, gentlemen, should be how it is for the standards, but no. Yeah.
Great way to start out your show. But it's awesome. I love that we're talking about this.
I agree. We just jumped right into this thing. It's outstanding. Well, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Of course, hit the thumbs up while you guys are tuning in. Those obviously help as the YouTube algorithm likes to say. There you go, Gary. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. The YouTube algorithm is a beast these days. So we're doing our best to overcome and hitting the thumbs up button always helps discovery when it comes to that stuff. If you do, of course, join the 116,000 just normal men who have found common sense in the video game and entertainment space. And of course, as I mentioned, the thumbs up. Blabs, we just launched Side Scrollers Plus last week, and it's gone over very well. People have very much enjoyed. The whole idea of Side Scrollers Plus, you guys have said, hey, you guys should do all these other channels. So we said, okay, let's just put them all in one spot. So we have the plays and wrestling and culture and food and entertainment and all that fun stuff. And it's all going to be on Side Scrollers Plus. But today, we actually released a video over on Plus, which was WWE sus moments. Right, Labs?
Yes,
you're
we're
reacting to it.
Dude, what the hell is WWE? So this is just, that's just a little sneak peek of it. But here's a little clip that I just grabbed from reacting. I don't know who the fuck Cody Rhodes is, so good luck.
To be clear, do you know who this is?
I think that's Cody Rhodes.
My kids turn me on.
What? His kids turn him on? So there's like a lot of sus moments in WWE. I have to say, it sounds very flamboyant, but to each their own. Yeah, check it out.
What? No,
I want to let you know that
completely authentic. Okay,
Totally.
WWF is completely authentic. What are you talking about? To be fair, it's more authentic than Hollywood or Washington. But.
Yes, that's true. Okay, bye, Craig. He just
bye,
left.
Craig. It's just
that's fine.
Harry Potter. Let's go.
Yes, okay. You first.
Oh, Snape is black, Blabs, and I know you've been just absolutely loving the casting so far. I have been actually more forgiving than you. I'm like, all right, I wanted a British guy, probably in his late 50s, early 60s to play Dumbledore. Not a guy in his like approaching his 80s who's American, but they did pick like one of the best actors of our time. So it's like, all right, but let's just be real. He's not going to finish the series. I want him to live to 1,000 years old, but he's not going to fit. This is going to be 14 years. Yeah. 14 effing years. They said 10. They're full of crap.
Yeah,
they'll never do it.
They're going to do what they did with the movies where Richard Harris passed away and someone else comes in. So I was like, okay, by the time this is all said and done, we're going to have 2 different Dumbledores again. I mean, honestly, you could just put Jude Law back in there, age him up, and just do that. I mean, he's not going to die anytime soon.
I wouldn't be against that at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's already there. He's already played the part. He's not a terrible Dumbledore, so like, just use him, age him up. But no, they're not smart enough. Listen, Gary, how do you feel about us being in charge of the show? Shall we just go and like take over?
Totally.
Yeah, go ahead. But by the way, I would like to point out that I'm streaming via the miracle of Starlink. So your old employer, Gary, I'm
You couldn't pick that if you planned it. That was amazing.
Everybody sign up for Starlink.
Wow. Okay. Hi, Craig, are you there?
Starlink will eventually be good, guys. Don't worry. But,
wow. Look, guys, we're Netflix. Anyway,
hey, yes, Black Lives Matter. Let's go.
Wow. Okay, he's gone. You know what? That's fine. This is the Gary and Blabs show. Okay, listen. I'm just gonna listen. We're gonna get into some gaming history news, okay? I don't know how much of a gamer you are. I actually think you're a better gamer than me, but we're still gonna get into it. Yes, pro gamer. Oh, hi, Craig.
Hey, sometimes things work out too beautifully. I'm telling you about the miracle of Starlink, and my mom tries to FaceTime because I'm on my phone right now. My mom tried to FaceTime me, which caused my camera to go out, which was just a brilliant. I saw
what
you
are
guys
you doing, honey? Are you doing your radio show right now?
Well, the thing is,
that's what my mom does.
she watches every day, so she knows I'm live right now. Like she literally knows that I'm live. So why not just call in the middle of it? Right? Come on, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
By the way, my mom and Blabs was in town last week. We shot a bunch of stuff and Phoenix came in as well. And Blabs and my mom were like 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah.
They were BFFs.
Yes.
And it was very awkward for me, but that's okay.
Why? Because we like each other more than she likes you?
You know that there is a strong possibility in what you just said. Yeah, absolutely.
We also know you women are not to be trusted, and when you start teaming up, it's just bad news for us all the time.
Bad juju, yeah.
See, Gary gets it. All right, well, we always like to start the show off with today in video game history. So, Blabs, what do we have today?
Alrighty, everybody. March 13th is Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land, released in 1994. We have God of War 2, released in 2007. And listen, guys, everyone knows that Gary has played the absolute shit out of Resident Evil 5, releasing today in 2009. Yay!
Dude, I was there opening day, waiting out in front of midnight at GameStop, getting it on my... Was it Xbox or I don't know, whatever it was on.
Well, yeah.
Finished it that night.
That's good. Yeah, there you go. No. You have multiple copies. You know, it's good. I get
it. For
sure.
No, that is not true at all.
Some noticeable games that you missed today, Blabs, include, and by the way, every pick you had today, notable, right? But today you were hampered by our harped on. I don't know that you only had 3 slots, but there was at least 5 or 6 games that you could have been there, including.
You're just being nice to me because Gary's here. Usually you'd be like, yeah, shit, you're full of shit.
No, I'm not being nice to you because Gary's here. I'll actually be meaner to you because Gary's here.
I prefer that.
Yeah. You dumb bitch.
Wow, where's The Rock when you need him? There he is.
Shut up, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Some games that you missed today include Final Fantasy X2 in 2003, released in Japan for the, Gary, it's the Panasonic 3DO, now the PlayStation 2. Also, FIFA Street was released 13 years ago for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So those who know will enjoy those games. And Neo 2 was released 5 years ago for the PlayStation 4. So for those who are interested in that, good stuff. All right, man, right off the bat, Doc Holliday came in with the $100 super chat. Says, so kind of Craig to have a struggling YouTuber on as a guest, pro gamer Gary. Well, this has been well established, and there you go. That's very pro of you, Doc Holliday. That is incredibly generous of you, and we appreciate that. So we provide you with that.
So
Let's think
just
of our
Gary needs like some context here. Anytime someone sends a 50 or 100 or even 200, they get boobs.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
just
a good
so
incentive.
you know, like Craig isn't a misogynist, this was my idea also. One for the
Okay.
boys. Craig
Yeah,
had nothing
I
to
think
do with it. There you go.
Everybody
Stick it.
loves boobs.
Boy, do they. Absolutely.
No,
Ian.
I just thought you were just throwing it up. I wasn't even going to question it.
Just here you go.
All right.
It's just
Let's
random
go.
straight. All right, let's go. Well, we do this for 10 gifted memberships as well from Ian. We have Kirsha bounce up and down a lot for that with 10 gifted. There you go. Look, enjoy the anime jiggles right there. Thank you so much, Ian, for that. If you guys got gifted a membership, make sure you say thank you. Mechator is a brand new member, and we appreciate that. And also, check this out. Gamey1138 is a brand new Plus member over at Side Scrollers Plus. Use promo code Plus. Get over there. You can watch the Blabs react to sus WWE moments, which I'm positive you showed because I was off screen when you did that. Did you show the clip, Blabs?
Yes, you were there too. It's okay.
Oh, I was not there. It was, listen, we're struggling today. Ian came in with the 20. Says, hi guys, just trying to send this super chat via Starlink. So, thank you, Ian. Appreciate that. And the mystery came in with the 10 Canadian money. Says Craig's mom wants to see Montez. Yes. Well, so I think Gary may want to see Montez as well, which Gary has no idea what Montez is. But if we get to our super chat goal today, maybe Gary can witness what Montez is. And,
I want to see Montez. Let's go.
All right. Sounds great. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Glad everybody's here. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's get to it. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News.
Hard News.
Okay, Gary, I think the first news that we want to hit on is a couple things you have going on, and that is a link to check out an early e-version of a book that you're writing, huh? So tell us about this real quick.
This is the review crew, and thank you for bringing this up. That's kind of you. Yes, I was supposed to bring this up on Friday Night Tights. I didn't. Got in trouble. Lots of trouble. So I am doing a memoir, a book called Waiting for Nerdrotic from Prison to YouTube, and it will be out very, very soon. And we want to, my publishers asked if we could get a crew together to help review it. It does cost a little bit of money, so sorry about that. Grift, yes, I will grift my life story. And I would appreciate your help. I'm going to be coordinating a review crew, a group of people who are willing to read the book early you give it, a few days before the official release date. So to greatly increase the chances of the book getting a bigger audience, especially because it's going to be available. We are going to be doing a limited, possibly we got to coordinate it, but through Ripasend, we're going to do a limited thing, but it'll also be available at bookstores. This is a real publisher. So it's going to Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And it really helps, and review it honestly. All that matters is that you purchase the ebook for 99 cents or $1.99. We're not sure. We're trying to get it down to 99 cents. And I'm sorry it's even that much, but it has to be. And then write something. If you can, only read part of the book. Even if you only read part of the book, it just helps it with the algorithm of reviews. So we'll get you more on that. If you're open to being a part of this, please sign up. And there is a link that will be provided.
Yes, it's in the description below already, chat, if you're interested.
Thank you. I read that like a normal ad read, so I appreciate you guys. But yeah, so some of you will get it's just like an ebook version of it. So
how long have you been working on your book?
Almost. I think we're going on 2 years. I think it's 2 years.
Why was it what pushed you over the edge where you're like, I'm really gonna write a book about my life story?
People have brought it up in AA meetings and stuff before, and it was even brought up during my comic shop years. People wanted to adapt it to a graphic novel, and I was always kind of open to it, but I wanted to be part of writing it, and I never had the time. So Chris Gore pushed me into it when he basically said, hey, you don't, because I can't freaking spell, right? So but I had help writing the book, and he found me a publisher who was willing to do it through a friend of his. That publisher, the person who runs the company, was also in recovery, so they were kind of down with the story, and we wanted to really make it. I mean, initially they were asking, "Is this just going to be a YouTube thing?" And I'm all, "No, that's kind of like that's at the very end." I really kind of wanted to do the part which is sharing my experience, strength, and hope through life, showing that like recovery works, and that's really what I want to push is sobriety and recovery, and how sobriety is based. Chat, it's an amazing thing to have control of all your faculties. And I know a lot of people like to, and I don't judge people who get high once in a while. I wish I could be a person who could drink a half a beer and leave it on a bar and walk away. It's just not my DNA, unfortunately. But for those of you who think you might have a problem or have a loved one who might have a problem, if this like even steers somebody, one human being, in the direction of going to an AA or an NA meeting at least once, then that's what I hope it accomplishes. Plus, there's some stupid shit in there that I did that you'll hear about. A lot of stupid shit.
I get every once in a while, when I first interviewed you, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, and we pretty much just talked. I don't even think we talked about your YouTube channel. I think we just talked about, your journey and such. I still get people who come up and they'll send me a message or something and talk about how that was a side of you that they hadn't necessarily, there's some stories in there that they hadn't necessarily heard from you, which I take, a lot of pride in that interview, because I think it was really, really cool to hear those things. And for you to kind of put that into, written words, I think is going to be really valuable for a lot of people, because people got a little bit out of that interview, but for them to actually hear it from you in your own words, I think is going to be awesome.
Thanks. And that was really fun to do, and I appreciate it. I really do. And like, listen, my story is not the worst story in the world. It's not the best story in the world. Everybody's got their own story. Mine was crazy. I mean, it was just crazy. It was a crazy story. I shouldn't even be here, sitting here right now. I mean, like, I've flatlined twice. So I should, like, every day. It took me a long time to realize, but every day is gravy if you get. So I try to, and it's not like every day is fun. That's not reality. But if you're happy and peaceful a little over half the time, that's a victory. And a lot of that is mindset. And what worked for me was recovery, was AA. It was life school for me. So yeah, hopefully people get stuff out of it. And yeah, again, there's me doing some really dumb stuff that.
I think Craig is into the beyond. There he is.
Sorry, about 5 seconds ago, I'm sure you were saying something extremely profound, and then Starlink.
The chat heard it. It's all good.
I think
Blabs
it's very
heard
noble.
it,
I did.
And the chat heard it.
I think it's very noble of you, Craig. So Craig, not you. Shut up, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, so congratulations.
I see the chat in there. Like anything in small doses is fine. Actually, a little wine at night is healthy for you once in a while. But I don't do that. I drink the entire bottle of wine and then I move to whatever. I never liked the taste of alcohol at all. I just like getting effed up and out of my own head. Then it would be vodka, and then it would be. I would skip pot and just go right to coke or meth and hookers in Vegas and be dead. Wow. Like that's what happened. That's what will happen if I go out again. So, but a little bit, like, again, not judging anybody who goes out there and does that stuff. If you're a casual user, it's fine. It just means you're a normal human.
It's funny because we actually on the way down, I think everybody struggles with something in their life, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, or food, right? Like everybody has some sort of vice or addiction. And I think for a lot of America, my wife and I were talking about how, I think for a lot of America, they are addicted to food. When we are addicted to food, this idea that you always have food around, and we were talking about that. It's just, different vices. It just kind of, it's all wrapped up in different ways. So
yeah,
and it's great.
It's how you can, like addiction's called a disease, right? And I think a lot of people fight back on that. And it's a good question to bring up because it sounds like an excuse. It excuses you from responsibility. But the one thing they definitively teach you in AA is it does not. It is a disease that is brought on by a conscious decision. Once you are aware of your addiction, this is a conscious decision. And a lot of us are just born that way. It's just you're born addicted. It's obsessive compulsive. It's a brain chemistry mismatch. Whatever the hell it is, doesn't really matter. We're an addict. And there's a way to deal with that. There is a way. And it's not easy. There's no pills. There's no 30-day 30-day rehabs are really great to detox. You know, I've been to the Betty Ford Center, you know, which used to be like the high tier, like numero uno rehab of the time back in the late 80s and early 90s. And it was great. I played croquet. I met Eddie Van Halen, you know, he bailed, but you know, it was awesome. And I went out and partied, but it did plant a seed of AA in there. Like I had no hope of being sober after that, because for one, Palm Springs used to be like the California Fort Lauderdale back in the 80s. That's where all the kids went for spring break, and it was crazy. So I walked right out into spring break and got high as a kite, but I was like out for a half an hour. But it planted the seed, so that's what it can do. But like paying a bunch of money for rehabs or some quick fix, or even worse, a drug to fix it, to counteract drugs, is not the way, in my opinion. The way to do it is through the work in AA, and your life definitely gets better. It takes a year. Sometimes it takes 2 years, but you see improvement. I'm not saying a good life, but you see improvement where you're like, oh, an improvement can mean I don't feel like I want to die this morning. Like I got up and I don't feel like shit. Which is that's the first thing I latched onto, was like, I woke up and I'm like, my head's not hurting. My stomach's not hurting. This is great. I can actually do something today, because before I couldn't even make a decision or do anything without doing a drug first. That was my first goal, and then everything else after that. And that's how sobriety's got to be. I can't do anything. I can't be a father to my kids. I can't be a husband to my wife. I can't do my job. I can't take care of the people I work with unless I'm sober first. So it has to become above everything I love, or I lose it all.
Well, if you'd like to hear Gary's life story, you'd like to actually be part of the review crew. Is that what you're calling it?
Yep, the review crew.
There we go. There you go.
Thanks,
the link
man.
is, yeah, for sure, brother, for sure. The link is down below in the description for you guys to check out. Seems like it's going to be pretty great.
I do have some, a fun fact about Starlink, because Elon Musk just tweeted this out. Look, Craig.
What's that?
Read
What's
that.
it say? I can't see it from that far.
Shall I zoom in?
Starlink is available in
Oh no,
Niger.
Yes. Shout out Elon. So yeah, there you go. Shout out
You think
Starlink.
that, I mean, he posted that just to upset the people, right?
Yeah,
Like
of course he
100%.
did. That's an absolute troll, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sure
it's real.
No, I'm sure it's actually there, and he actually wanted to tweet Niger for sure.
That's right, 1000%.
He was probably had that marked on his calendar. Oh my god, I can't wait to tweet this once it's available in Niger.
Yeah, there's a dinosaur named like after that. It's like Nigerosaurus, but there's only the one G, so it's like, can't really say it.
Well, you put that in a super chat, you're gonna probably get some fun.
Blabs will read them all, including Tomac, who came in. Blabs.
Okay, Tomac says, so Master Gamer Gary, how do you feel about Chris Redfield proving that he is the strongest human on the planet by punching the boulder into the lava flow? The boulder's approximate weight was around 333 tons.
Impressive. That's what I'll say. That's impressive, but I can do better.
Appreciate that. Nestrak says Gary needs to see Montez. Thank you all for the great content. Thank you so much, Nestrak. We're going to do our best today. Corona Soul came in with the 10. Says temporary swapping from locals to here for this. Have you considered a dig dug, Montez? We can consider them all, but jot that down. I think that's a really good idea.
I love Dig Dug. That's a game I actually played a lot when I was a kid.
Maybe. Yes. Well, hopefully we get there and you can.
Loved it.
I mean, I'd expect nothing less from Pro Gamer Gary. For sure.
Yeah.
Lance Corporal Hawk came in with the 1999. Says for Montez. Also, it's been a while since I asked you how you managed to get in touch with RMD. So Gary understands Radiant Media Developers is a group that aims to help creatives to take back culture from games, books, etc. I have not gotten in touch with Radiant Media developers before. Blast, please jot that down. That's very interesting.
So take it back as far as it, like going into independent sphere or trying to change the corporate culture? That would be my question. That's
an excellent question. You know, my brother and I were just actually having this conversation last night about. I think that, and I've mentioned this before on the show, the gaming industry as a whole could be doged. It could be like 80% of the gaming industry could be wiped, and it would be just fine. There's so many people who have unnecessary jobs in the video game space, and a lot of those people are the ones who are you know, in the trans scars and Dragon Age Veilguard and, you know, all these random things that don't necessarily belong in video games or shouldn't be in video games or have no place in a game. But yeah, you know, that's actually a really good question. Go ahead, Gary. What are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, I mean, like the free market allows things to be doged, and what has perplexed me, and I'll stay with Hollywood, but Hollywood is the same as the gaming industry, but much smaller. So the thing is, the free market should have taken care of this by now. Like, this is a trend that has been like the anti-woke trend. We're now like, as far as the general public, they're sick of it. They're over it. Is the gaming industry in Hollywood going to be tired of making this stuff? No, they still think they're right. So I want to make that clear. But the general consumption level of your paying customer is the tolerance of wokeness is starting to evaporate quickly. And that's good. The free market should have taken care of this a couple of years ago. I would argue 4 years ago, it was already on the decline in Hollywood. It was pretty like Terminator Dark Fate is like a bellwether movie. That is one of the wokest intersectional feminist movies ever effing made. It went back into its own canon, killed John Connors in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's like the best worst example of there, and it failed back in 2019. So what kept this shit going for 4 years further? Because this is what's perplexed me as somebody who's just been a fan of pop culture, and I'm sure a lot of you guys in the audience, especially the older guys and gals, notice this too. We understand the cycles of trends. Like, they go for 5-10 years, maybe, but usually it cycles out at 5 and 7 years. Every 20 years, there's nostalgia for the 20. It can go to 25 years, but there's a cycle of trends that always happens. This breaks every metric and every cycle. It went on way too long. So what was propping that up? And if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago, Craig, that maybe it's the government, I'd have gone, you fucking crazy. Not anymore. Yeah. Not anymore. Not at all. I think you're crazy not to believe it.
Right, and that you, with your tax dollars, were helping fund it. On top of that, it's like, 100%. Man, how diabolically evil is that shit? Like, just from every level of it. And you mentioned movies compared to games, and games. I think that the market 2024 in particular was a major shift for. I think there was the customer drastically spoke with their wallet. You saw a number of woke games fail miserably. And but those games were in development for 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 years. And I think that's the big difference between movies and games is that once you start, I think we're going to see a shift in gaming by 2027, maybe. Games that have started development last year after they saw the insanity and they're like, oh shit, maybe we should just put some beautiful women and buff dudes and just make it super fun instead of fucking pronoun police and everything going on there. So, yeah, man, it's amazing. And yeah, the diabolical nature of like funding the shit that nobody wants with your own money. That's like fucking Dr. Evil shit. It's crazy.
It is the danger of even because I think a lot of people truly believe this, Craig, but even the danger of a true believer. No, this is the most dangerous thing of all is a true believer of the person who goes through their life, wakes up. Think of your average fucking woke white woman in Marin County, wakes up every day going, I am right about everything. And now it is my job to tell you that I'm right and teach you how to think, tell you how to think, show you how to think. And all the arguments are done. I'm right, you're wrong. That is the worst person imaginable to be in charge, and that is a large part of our government. It's been infected, and unlike the gaming industry, and like Doge is going to have a very hard time. Like it's fun. It was fun seeing all this shit getting cut up, but they are now going to have a fight. They're going to we're going to find out how much this is legal, and plus they are literally taking on not just our machine, the world machine. Like that is not an easy task. That is not something that gets finished in Donald Trump's presidency. This is something that is a 20-year journey to possibly turn things around. 20 years. This ain't fucking happening in a presidency. Just be clear about this, because it took a long time for it to get this bad.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch. And you mentioned like it's always liberal white women, always. And that they're the people who are wanting to destroy their own rights. And it always goes back to like compassion. Don't you have compassion, Gary? Don't you have compassion, Blabs? Don't you have compassion, Craig? And so it's always this guise of caring for other people, or like in my thought is like, if you really care about somebody, you're honest with them.
Yes,
maybe that's
100%. The greatest act of love my dad ever showed me, Craig, was kicking me out of the house when I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to do it, but he had to do it. And that's like, we have to do the equivalent to a lot of stuff. Like kindness is not lying to people. You're enabling them. And a lot of woke white women want to nurture and enable, and they are enabling fucking trans kids and dudes pretending they're chicks. And a fucking dude got nominated for Best Actress. That shit, I mean, that is batshit crazy. That is nuts. That is stuff even Hollywood would have called out 8 years ago and made fun of.
This is not the direction I thought we'd go with the show, but I
Sure.
love it. I love the direction we're going. That's totally fine. But so have you seen this clip? Her name is Helen Joyce, and she was on the Peter, his name's Peter Boghossian. He does these like, I don't know how to say his last name, but he goes to universities and he has this exercise where he puts people in the middle, and he goes left and it goes right, and it's about strongly disagree or strongly agree. And he puts a prompt out, and it's a really good like thought exercise, and they're really, really strong. Anyways, he had this lady on who really broke this down spectacularly, which I want to show. I don't know if you've seen this clip before, but she talks about this ideology, and this is outstanding. And I thought it's really cut straight to the core of the issue. So I want to play this for you real quick and get your reaction to it.
There's a lot of people who can't move on this, because that's the people who've transitioned their own children. So those people are going to be like, the Japanese soldiers who were on Pacific Islands and didn't know the war was over.
Right.
They've got to fight forever. This is another reason why this is the worst social contagion that we'll ever have experienced. A lot of people have done the worst thing that you could do, which is to harm their children irrevocably because of it. Those people will have to believe that they did the right thing for the rest of their lives, for their own sanity and for their own self-respect. So they'll still be fighting. And each one of those people destroys entire organizations and entire friendship groups. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that somebody has said to me of a specific organization that has got turned upside down on this. Oh, the deputy director has a trans child, or, the journalist on that paper who does special investigations has a trans child, or whatever. The entire organization gets paralyzed by that one person. And it may not even be widely known at the organization that they have a trans child, but it will come out. Like, people will have sort of said it quietly, and now you can't talk truth in front of that person, and you can't. Because what you're saying is, you as a parent have done a truly, like, human rights abuse level of awful thing to your child that cannot be fixed. There are specific individuals who are really actively against women's rights here, and it's not known why they are, but I happen to know through the back channels that it's because they've trans their child. And so those people will do anything for the entire rest of their lives to destroy me and people like me, because people like me are a standing reproach to them. I don't want to be. I'm not talking directly to them. I don't spend my time bitching about them. But the fact is that just simply by saying we will never accept natal males in women's spaces, well, it's their son that we're talking about. And they've told their son that he can get himself sterilized and destroy his sexual function, and women will accept him as a woman. And if we don't, there's no way back for them and their child. They've sold their child a bill of goods that they can't deliver on. And I'm the one who has to be bullied to try to force me to deliver on it. So those people are going to be the people who will keep this bloody movement going, I'm sorry to say, because they have everything to lose. And it's a fight to the death as far as they're concerned.
It is. And the sad thing is, Craig, it is fixable. You detransition your child now. You go through the hard part now. You go through the healing now. And then maybe your kid can not be sterilized for the rest of their life. Maybe you will have grandkids and you won't die a miserable fuck because you fucking abused, you mutilated your own kid. So you're going to look down at some guy, and you should, who beats the crap out of his son. You just did the same thing. You just did the same goddamn thing. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And like you can, but she's 100% right. 100% right. I have lost a friend, a very good friend, because my friend transed his clearly gay kid. His kid was gay. His kid was born gay. It was obvious. Like he transed his gay son. So we don't talk. And it's just about what I've said online. It wasn't anything we said directly, you know? And it's like, all right, well, you weren't my friend and I don't care, because I wouldn't stand by that. And like, I'm not going to be the one to pretend like I don't participate in your fantasies. So don't bring that shit around me, because I will fucking misgender you. I will do it. I will fucking misgender you. No, but I won't misgender you, Craig, because I'll properly gender you, because you're a dude.
Right.
You know, like fuck that shit.
I thought that was such a clear and concise, powerful statement from her, being like, this literally is a battle to the death, because their ego won't allow it not to be. This is a decision that I made for my kid. And while they may think they made it for themselves, ultimately I'm the one who made this decision, and I need to be right. I need to be right here, and I will fight to the death until you tell me that I'm right. And but she's right about like how this stuff, whether it's good, bringing it back to movies, bringing it back to games. There's one person in one of those conference rooms that has a trans kid, and all of a sudden you can't talk about it. You can't talk about it. These are things that you just can't talk about, and that's how it infects. It's this slow infection, and the woke mind virus.
It is real, and it can be terminal.
In
some cases,
it is. I mean, it's highly terminal for sure. Yes, I've had many friends who have died to the woke mind virus.
Yep, and it's contagious. Some of us are immune though, so cheers.
Mm-hmm. That's right, and no vaccine will help with that. The vaccine is honesty.
Nope.
All right, let's go and move on to this other topic, which I really want to get to. But first, Dirtus King came in with the $100 super chat. Says, Gary, I think with your history and Craig's normalcy, we're going to have to deal with veterans of this era of the culture war. It'll never return to the 2000s in terms of uncritically able to enjoy things, but we need to find a way to beat the metaphorical swords into plowshares. Thank you, Dirtus King. Greatly appreciate that.
We allow it to change. We allow it to do what it should have been. Like we have to, like trends happen naturally, as much as people like to say they control them. They actually rise from the bottom and then they get controlled and then ground into dust. But that's how the cycle happens. We need to let it happen naturally. We need to let these things fail, and something needs the paradigm shift is you are the entertainment now. That's it. So Hollywood will die a very slow. The fact is they will die a very slow death, because we're just gonna entertain each other for the most part. That's it. The change.
Siphon says, "Go figure. It would be 199. G&G always grifting Gary. One day Jeremy will be a successful YouTuber. Hail the fellowship. Can't wait to read it." There you go. Thanks so much, Siphon. Appreciate that. Also, Benjathan came in. By the way, I think we're gonna hit Montez today. I'm looking forward to it. It says, can I request a Contra Montez skit be made? Is that doable? Of course it's doable. It was also the first video game I ever played at 3 years of age. Montez, thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's great. Also, Master Video Studio says, a book I can highly recommend about a life of addiction, and what I recommend to every high schooler read is Nikki Sixx, The Heroin Diaries. Also, hoping it gets adapted to a film eventually. Have you seen that book before? The Heroine
I've heard of the
Diaries?
book. I have not read it. But I
Darth
will.
Gavel says, "Hail and thanks, Gary. I've been sober 5 years and 3 months.
Yeah.
I trust myself with alcohol again, but to whoever it may concern, time will heal the mental wounds. You can and will recover." Love that, Darth. Thanks for the message there, Darth Gavel. Jeremy the Cyborg says, "I've been diagnosed with an addictive personality, so I have to be careful what I partake in, and it could lead to an addiction. I also suffer from several addictions, one that almost killed me." Thank you, Jeremy the Cyborg. Keep fighting, buddy. Lance Corporal Hawk says, "RMD is an independent group with lots of people working on lots of projects, eventually, including animation, games, books. We actually have a published horror anthology book with multiple authors doing their own stories and music."
Excellent.
Awesome. Yes. Chibi came in and says, "Hey, Gary, love your takes ever since I saw you on a Malice show. I don't understand why I wasn't enjoying media like before I heard of you. Now, thanks to you, I watch G&G, Side Scrollers, Drinker, and more." That's awesome. Is that
Nubia? She's great. You should get her on.
We'll love that. I think I'm familiar with her stuff. I think so.
Yeah, she used to be with Prairie. Now she's out on her own, and she's still doing great. And I watch all her videos. Her takes are good.
Martin, we'll definitely get her on. Martin, if she'll come on, says, "You have better survival odds playing Russian roulette with 2 rounds in the chamber than being trans." Okay, thank you very much, Martin V. Appreciate that, and we're now suspended on YouTube for that. All right, let's get to this next thing, Gary. You tweeted this out the other day, and I was fascinated by this because I wasn't aware of all this stuff that's been happening. But why don't you give us a little rundown of this thing that's going on with this Stan Lee documentary?
Yeah, so we did an interview yesterday. So John Bullerjack, and it's divisive topic, bro. It's a really divisive topic. I didn't get as many emails as I thought I'd get, but I know John Bullerjack from back in the day. He used to work at Southern California Comics when I was at my comic shop, so that's how I know him. And he used to be a personal assistant to Stan Lee. And he even at one point helped me get in to get a signature with my son in a picture back in Comic-Con 2016 or 17. So haven't heard from him in a while. Then he, Jamie, the guy who owns Southern California Comics, my comic book mentor, like a father to me, he's like, "Hey, John's doing this thing on Stan Lee. Can you talk to him?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we talked a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing this documentary. I have a bunch of I've documented footage of Stan's abuse by his handlers towards the end of his life." Now, I had heard this. I have heard of Max and POW Entertainment, and not everybody at POW Entertainment. I want to make that clear. But I've heard of the group of people around Stan, particularly after Stan's wife died. We're not treating him very well. We're overexerting him. But like, it's rumors. So you hear these rumors, you go, all right. And when he passed, I even brought it up in my live stream I heard that there was vultures surrounding. So when I heard this, I kind of wasn't surprised. So it was documented, didn't think much of it. And then I saw Barstool tweeted it. And then I'm like, shit. Oh, I forgot about that. So I hit up John. I'm like, if you want me to talk about this, let's go. And he lives here in Texas. So he just drove to my house and we talked about it. So he's got footage. He was Stan's personal assistant, and he's got footage and a documentary of that he's making right now that he's put a lot of his own money into. And also Moist Critical made a video about him asking some pretty good questions based on the presentation of the trailer that I've got no problem with what he said. So if you're making a documentary about the exploitation of Stan Lee, you cannot make it look like you're exploiting Stan Lee. So that is a fucking fine line. And Chris and I had him on, and he already stated he's put in like $200,000 of his own money, but he's doing a Kickstarter. It's a pretty big Kickstarter. It's like 300. It's doing pretty well, but I agree with Chris's assessment from our interview that he should make it way down. And I suggested that he make it nonprofit. Like that's what you need to do. If you want to make this legit and you want to get the message out there, make this about elderly abuse. Stan's dead. There's nothing we can do about it, but make it about elderly abuse, and maybe anything that goes over when you break even goes to a charity, right, of some kind or whatever. But clearly Stan was abused. And even with, I can't talk about it right now, I'll talk about it in the future. I got another email from another point of view that still said Stan was abused. They have a different perspective on it, but they still said Stan was abused. Now, was he being hit? No, I think he was being overworked. As you saw in the trailer, and John got a lot of good footage. He's being parked in front of boxes and forgotten about and just walked away. Fucking Stan Lee.
Right.
Stan Lee. Asking for naps and not getting naps, like little shit like that. But like, if you can do that to fucking Stan Lee, think about the poor old woman who's in a care facility, like that I think that should be the point. But sorry, go on.
Let's go play the trailer so everybody can see kind of what we're talking about here. Because yes, the trailer it's unnerving for sure.
It's completely unnerving.
Check it out.
My name is John Bullerjack. And for the last 4 years of Stanley's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend. I traveled the world with him, witnessing firsthand the incredible highs of his legendary career, but also the heartbreaking lows. Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors.
Is there any way to get us out of that San Francisco thing? Or do you feel we gotta do it? Gotta do it.
At the time, I didn't have the power to stop it.
You don't gotta
do
do
have
shit.
a camera.
And has plenty of money.
Everything.
What's
Sorry
that,
to interrupt. So that was Max, and like I've talked to Max before in the past, and I didn't have the best interaction with him, but it was nothing like abusive or illegal. It was just like he didn't pass the smell test with me. He asked me to have Stan come to my shop. He asked for an exorbitant appearance fee, which I was willing to pay, but then he wanted me to charge my customers $125, which they got 50% of, and I'm like, no.
God.
I'm paying an appearance fee, so my customers don't pay any money. We will limit what they can have signed, but this is a gift to my customers, right? I'm not trying to, whatever profit I'll make will be from sales. That's what I was looking for, is like getting more butts and more people into the fucking store to sell things. I don't want to gouge my customers. So I said no, and it went to another shop. But I digress. That was Max. And in that little conversation, Stan is just like, do we have to, and I'm paraphrasing, do we have to do the San Francisco thing? And he goes, yeah, we have to. It's like, no, he doesn't. He's Stan fucking Lee. He does whatever he wants to do. Okay, so that I think that gives you an idea of it. It's horrible. It's horrible. And I think a lot of people have saying that. But again, to the question of, should this be made? Yes, I think this documentary should be made. But I think it is on John. I told him this, and me and John are cool. Like I like John. We've always had great interactions. He's never done anything shady with me. I think it's important for him to focus on the message of it, and not even, and like, we can't control internet optics sometimes. The internet's going to internet, and you have to understand that, and you have to do everything you can to show that you're not profiting off this. I think that's really important. I think that's because that can undermine the entire documentary and undermine the message that does need to get out there. That needs to get out there. And it's up to people if they want to choose to back it or not. But I think it would be good to make this. I think it would be good to show this, and I think it would put some eyes on elder abuse, which is horrible. And I think it can also show you what the abuse, what celebrities go through when they're later in life. A lot of celebrities get taken advantage of when they're older and they start losing their faculties, and the vultures come in and just suck them dry. I think putting some eyes on that too would be good. And then Chris and I were talking, this should be a completely different documentary. We should show like how comic creators have been absolutely abused and screwed over. And again, there's a fine line about, like, you signed a contract, you knew what you're getting into, and you should always read your own contract. But there is a point where you have Len Wein, the co-creator of Wolverine, dying, and like Fox couldn't like take care of his hospice or something. Like,
right.
And Hugh Jackman ended up helping him out, by the way. So good for Hugh. But like, but companies, they're so risk averse. Like, we can't do it because we'd have to do it for everybody. It's like, that's bullshit. That's utter bullshit. That's utter bullshit. So I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this, but it is up to the creator of this film, John Bolerjack, who's put this together for years and put a bunch of blood, sweat, and tears. And he did try to take it to TMZ, to the LA Times, to a bunch of news outlets, and none of them wanted to touch it. None of them wanted to touch it.
You mentioned that the shot, and I think this is the shot that resonated with me the most as well. The idea that, he's just sitting there in a corner.
Yeah.
And like, how fucking sad is like that shot in particular? He's just facing a bunch of boxes and like, good God, like, forget it's Stan Lee. Imagine it's your grandma or your granddad. That's nobody should be treated like that. That's so sad. Oh my God.
And I
don't know.
I guess there would be, you could say you need context for that. I don't personally. That's Stan Lee. He should be in a comfortable room all the time. There's been a lot of criticism towards Stan. He took all the limelight, the Jack Kirby fans, which I agree with. I think Stan, but you cannot deny that Stan's been the best human being that's ever existed for comics, because he became the carnival barker. He became the face, and he was a good face. And you know what? Stan Lee got a lot of kids reading. He'd throw in challenging words in his comic books that I would, I could barely speak, but like, I know some of these words because he put them in the comic books. I learned to read on comic books written by Stan Lee. So you can't deny what he's done. And for him to be treated like that towards the end is sad, but like, that happens a lot in Hollywood. And then if we scale it to just regular life, it's incredibly sad. One of this is going to seem random, but one of the good things about LandMan, the show LandMan, the oversexed wife and the oversexed daughter go on this little side mission to an old folks home and take them to a strip joint. And it's funny and it's fun. And it's like, what it showed in that little side adventure is it like showed that like there's, as somebody who's got my mom in a care facility, I try to make it as comfortable. I pay a lot of money to make it as comfortable possible. I wish I could visit her more, but at least I know she's being entertained. There's people doing things with her, interacting. It's not just plopping her in a fucking room and forgetting about her. I think that's a good message to get out there. And I think this documentary could steer it towards that and bring more awareness to it. And us kids can do a little more for our moms and dads who raised us, right? And take care of them when they need it.
Well, to kind of further your point about Stan Lee not having to do anything towards the end of his life, I mean, his net worth was estimated between $50 and $80 million by the time he died. So it's like, dude should just be sitting on the beach doing nothing, hanging out and drinking Mai Tais or doing whatever he wants to do. Instead, he doesn't have to do San Francisco. He doesn't have to do Dallas or Tampa or anything. He's, and the fact that even if he said no, it probably wouldn't have been honored. That's the saddest part of the whole thing.
That's the thing. It looks like there was a machine around him that relied on him and needed and drained the life out of him towards the end. And I think there's a balance there. I know Stan loved his fans and liked to go out and sign stuff, and he had a daughter, right? So he's probably taking care of the daughter. But how much did the daughter play into this? I know she's had her problems in the past too. Don't know, but yeah, I think it's a story to tell. I think you should tell the story. It's just, how it's presented.
Well, it's currently sitting at $55,000 of its $300,000 goal over on Kickstarter. So
it might make it. That's a big goal, but yeah.
Yeah, it's got 28 days to go. So we'll see what happens there.
I think it's doing fairly well because when I checked it yesterday, it was at like 35,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
so in span of a day.
It got tweeted out by Barstool, and Rob Liefeld has completely come out and backed John, and Rob was there for some of it, like witnessed some of it. So Rob Liefeld has come and had his back. I was not, but like I know John. He's a good kid. You know, I knew him as a little youngster working in a comic store. So yeah. We'll see. But the again, the internet's going to think what the internet's going to think based on a Moist Critical video, which I think didn't really ask any tough. I think it's good points. And even John said that they made good points, and maybe redo the trailer and put more into it to show more context that, no, I put a bunch of my money in. I'm not profiting off of this. That would be I would say, outside of telling a good story, the second most important thing is to show you're not profiting off it.
Awesome. Joey came in, says, hey, Side Soldiers and Nerdrotic, just tuned in. So I don't know if you've already talked about this, but what did you think of Microsoft releasing a handheld console that can connect to Steam? Joey, I think we'll talk about that more in depth.
Oh, the Xbox? You mean that they will be releasing it? Rumored one? We talked about it when you weren't here, Craig. I feel like there's more information needed first. But I'm always happy with competition. So to me, that's fine.
More stuff is good.
Yep. Especially because Microsoft doesn't really know what they're doing. So the more competition, the better, really.
All right. Let's move on and talk about some Disney stuff here. Because this is amazing. Gary, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. We know that the new Snow White film is coming very, very soon. And they're in the big push for promotion right now. It's obviously had a lot of eyes on it for a lot of various reasons over the last 3 years now since it was initially announced. But now that we're actually at premiere day, it's been put out there that Disney won't have a UK premiere in an attempt to avoid the backlash after the adaptation. And this is only part one of the story, but first and foremost, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Disney scaling back the idea of a premiere in the UK.
Disney bent the knee. It's been a PR disaster. Now, I love how they word this anti-woke backlash. In this case, it's not. It's backlash. It is just good old-fashioned backlash because, it's been well documented. I don't need to tell you guys. Rachel Zegler has been an absolute disaster on the PR, and it's because she's a little content creator queen. That's what she used to do. She's never been told no in her life, and the first time she got clapped back, well, this is a young girl who thinks she's fucking right about everything. We were just talking about that and now she's finding out she isn't. And being young is an excuse for a little while, but not for long. So after the third or fourth time, you were a complete idiot out there. Now they just have her singing and canceling this premiere. It's it's the smartest thing they can do at this point, other than maybe not releasing the movie. But I've heard that I've heard some arguments from Chris Gore and others, because he's talked to theater people who think not like theater kids, like people from movie theaters, that they think that this might perform like Little Mermaid, which would be a freaking massive win. It would barely make its money back, but if it does $500 million worldwide, I think that's the best they can hope for, really, considering the PR. This should perform like the Marvels. It should absolutely flop. But there's a lot of families and kids out there who don't care. But the movie sounds like the movie itself just sounds like a disaster. Like it's subverting the original, which created Disney. But Disney, Disney doing this is freaking smart. Now, it's not them apologizing to anybody. It's not them saying they were wrong. They're just, Rachel, go out there and sing. Don't say anything. Don't say a freaking word, and if she hadn't have said anything, I think this movie probably would have done fine, would have done okay. I'm sure the Disney fans who saw it, who loved Snow White, would hate it, but most families and normies would have probably gone it and forgot about it the next day, and it would have done fine. So she has become the face of woke Hollywood. Like Rachel Zegler is the poster child of woke Hollywood now. I think it might be too late, but I think they can mitigate the damage, and I think it's smart.
Well, I think that's what they're doing here, is they are also scaling back the Hollywood premiere to where they're not even allowing traditional media outlets to invite. Instead, they're just looking to control the narrative and include photographers and just an in-house crew to cover this. So I think that's the most fascinating thing is they don't trust anybody in the movie to actually go out and talk about the movie without there getting hate behind it.
Exactly. And I love how they're trying to roll Gal Gadot into this too, because she's Jewish. And I can promise you outside of urban areas and universities, nobody really gives a fuck about the conflict in the Middle East, and they don't care her relationship to it, and they don't care she was in the IDF. Most people don't know and don't care, but they're trying to roll her in to not just hyper focus on Rachel Zegler, which is exactly who you should be hyper focusing on, and not for her Palestinian views, for her views on fucking Disney. That's what she's in trouble for. She came out and said the original was dated. And, even it was Gal Gadot who said the princess is going to save herself. It's like, she's just a bimbo. But, that's the worst thing I can say about Gal Gadot. She can't act and she's a bimbo. But, she's not as bad as Rachel Zegler. She's the one who came out and disrespected Disney. So that's why this isn't a anti-woke backlash. That's why the trailers are getting freaking ratioed into oblivion. Numbers that are up there with the Rings of Power ratio, which was pretty effing bad. There's been hit videos based on the comments section, which is great. It's been mean to, like, I personally haven't made a video on Snow White because and I'm just gonna wait to review the movie. That's all I'm gonna do. I haven't made one because I'm not gonna roll out here and go, I am such a fan of the classic stuff. I'm not a Disney fan, never have been. I've always think it was kind of a girl's brand and a little gay. I've always thought that. So that's why it horrified me when they bought Marvel and Lucasfilm. But I can respect Snow White for what it was for the movie that it was.
If you mentioned Zegler, I mean, this was her quote.
Yeah. Weird.
That's Hollywood, baby. That's what she's. Hey, Rachel, that's Hollywood, baby. You get. There's consequences for your actions when you fuck with it. She fucked with the audience. It's one thing to give your views on we expect idiots to be idiots. Okay. And most actors are fucking idiots. They're adult pretenders. They when they get off script, we find out they're functionally retarded. They have no thoughts of their own, and all their fucking politics come from their assistants who look at TikTok all day. So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Ricky Gervais was right. But then when you start disrespecting what the core of your company, what a bunch of people really love, then the Disney adults are mad. It takes a lot to make them mad. Well, I mean, you raise their prices at Disneyland that they go to without their kids. And then you piss on Snow White.
Right. Well, it's also pissing on Snow White. I mean, I think that for me, like I watched that movie with my children when my oldest, when she was probably 2 or 3 years old. I remember having, just watching her and she dance and do all the little fun things with the dwarfs. And so that to me, I didn't watch the movie growing up, but watching it with my kids, the original, obviously, that's put the original Snow White in a very near and dear place in my heart. Outside of the fact that it was the film that literally built Disney from the ground up. It was the big swing for Walt, over 100 years ago. But even further, if you recall, Gary, do you remember it was Peter Dinklage who was really upset? God damn it, the stupid thumbs up thing keeps popping up because I'm on my phone. if I do this, see what happens. Let's see. Or there we go. Fireworks. We got some fireworks here. But people are pissed at Snow White in addition to that, because guess what? It's always about the little people are pissed again, as they should be, because they use the CGI dwarfs over the actual actors.
It's fucking wonderful because it's woke Hollywood eating itself. You get what you fucking deserve. Peter Dinklage, who was probably half drunk or full drunk when he made this statement of they shouldn't put the little people in there, motherfucker kicking the ladder out from behind him. And I love him. He's a great actor. Took a bunch of jobs from midgets, right? And there's a huge there's a place called Midgetville in La Jolla. It used to exist. It doesn't really exist that much anymore. So Midgetville was all the fucking midgets from Hollywood lived in La Jolla in these houses that were to scale. So they, from the outside, they look like normal fucking houses. But if you walk up to them, the doorway's like right here. And you're like, holy shit.
Wild.
Yeah. That's holy
Kinda
shit. I think only 3 of those houses exist now, or maybe 2. It's been a long time.
It's like the Shire. We all got to go.
It is. It is. But they're mixed in like within normal houses, but that was a real thing. So, big industry in Hollywood, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing. You're not objectifying. It's like you know what? There's a lot of stories with little people. And look, the way they inverted Peter Dinklage in Endgame was pretty good. They made him a giant midget, which was funny. But yeah, the Midgetville crew houses. Yeah, it's all
fascinating.
Tiny town. Let's go. Sorry, I got distracted.
Has Warwick Davis ever said anything about Peter Dinklage's remarks? Because like he's the Chad of all Chads when it comes to
I don't know. That's a good question.
I've never seen anything. He kind of keeps to himself. So, but yeah, I bet you he was probably pissed because he's done so much advocacy for like the little people, and then here comes Peter Dinklage just fucking it up.
He's had a good little career.
Well, we'll see if. Hey, bada boom, let's go. Hey, there it is.
There it is.
Oh man,
the best I can think of right now. I can do better.
That's great.
All right, I came up short.
Hey, let's go.
Alex Van Way. It's on Mount Soledad. All right. So if you're in La Jolla, you have to drive up the side of Mount Soledad. And this was back in the 80s, right? 80s and 90s. There was like 3 houses that were left from Midgetville. We also in La Costa, this wasn't midgets. We in La Costa, outside of La Costa Avenue. Sorry, Carlsbad. We're doing some San Diego lore here, so forgive me. There was a brothel. There was a like a little cul-de-sac that was a brothel that was all Victorian homes that were like 1/6 scale Victorian homes, and then you go in there and like meet your hooker and get laid.
All right, let's go.
There you go. Some San Diego history there.
Hey, it's a whale's vagina. That's what it's named.
Whale's vagina. Yeah,
that's right. All right, let's move on. But first, Kratos came in with a 10. Says, so sad how Stan was treated. I'm going to take my dad out for steak tomorrow. Everyone in chat should say hi to their parents and or grandparents. Yeah, all I did was bitch about my mom trying to FaceTime me during the show. Now I feel bad, don't I? What an asshole I am.
I agree.
Thanks, Blabs. Commodore fan came in with the 10. Says 20 years working for nonprofits and seniors and Meals on Wheels. The amount of times I've had to stop myself from wanting to punch someone over elderly abuse of their parents is unreal. We need this doc.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Commodore. Kratos came back with the 10. Says because we got to hold on to what we've got. Okay, because it doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. But seriously, cherish your elders while you can. Sorry, I didn't know we were busting out into show tunes there, Kratos. Thank you very much.
Yeah, worse than show tunes. Bon Jovi music.
Well, the good news is, Gary, that we have hit our Montez goal today. And
yes.
So Montez, if you recall, this is probably 2-3 months ago. There was a road rage incident. I don't know if you saw this on X, but there's a road rage incident where a lady got out of her car and she started bitching at this the guy who was in the driver's side of the car. He got out of the car and he ended up suplexing her. Did you ever see this?
I have seen this, but I'd love to see it again.
Well, you, my friend, get to choose between 8 different scenarios. I'm just going to lay out the game and you tell me which one you want.
Okay.
Would you like to see Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, The Moon, Dustborn, the Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, or Tetris?
It's between Street Fighter and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Bitch! Montez!
Yes.
There you go.
Mess with the bull, you get the horns, man.
That's right. It's become a thing on the channel, and we love ourselves Montez, which is wonderful. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Hey, let's get some fireworks going. Let's go.
Yeah!
All right. This is so gay. It's so gay. It's ridiculous. Thank you guys very much for your support today. We genuinely appreciate that. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to be heading over to Side Strollers Plus to do our. Oh, did we tell Gary we're doing a post show? Did we?
No,
tell him?
you didn't. That was your job.
Oh, sorry, Gary. We do like a brief post show where we do call-ins and stuff. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. We'll do that here in about 15 to 20 minutes. If you guys want to head over to SideStrollersPlus.com and use promo code PLUS, get a nice little discount on an annual membership over there. We got a lot of good things happening over there, including watching Blabs' reaction to sus WWE moments. So
it was very flamboyant.
Yes. So head on over there, use promo code PLUS. We'd really appreciate that. And yeah, good stuff. Okay, let's go to our last story here, Gary, for you today, my friend, before we get to some other stuff. I want to talk about Captain America, Brave New World. Okay. First and foremost, you did not think this movie was going to perform very well, did you?
No, I did not.
No. And it hasn't, really, has it?
No, it hasn't. No, it's I don't know where we're at now. But the Disney didn't know it was going to perform well. That's why they floated out a lie of a $180 million budget. And that's just an outright lie. Now, Disney does not have to tell the truth. You hear a lot of people say they have to tell the truth for their investors. Technically, yes, but technically it wouldn't be a lie if you said the budget for the film was $180 million. If you're not specific, that's very open. That could have been the budget for the reshoots. That could have been Harrison Ford's weed bill. That could have been the catering. Right. We don't know. So they're not technically lying, but they are lying because the overall budget for the film, which we'll never know, is somewhere in the vicinity of $350 million. In a $180 million Marvel film post Endgame would be the cheapest Marvel movie made by orders of magnitude. And the $100 million marketing would be the lowest they've spent on marketing by orders of magnitude, which is just not true. I've seen Captain America 4 shit everywhere. So the reality is $350 million budget, minimum $150 to $180 million on marketing.
Well, they're saying that worldwide the grosses have been $372 million, which this seems like a pretty catastrophic failure. Have you actually seen the movie?
I have. I've reviewed it. I've seen it twice, unfortunately.
Why twice?
I watch everything twice I review.
You know what? That's fair.
And I will, if I don't, I will say so in the review. I will absolutely say so because my memory is Swiss cheese. And if I'm in a theater, I have to take notes, and sometimes my notes suck. So,
have you ever watched something? Have you watched something the first time and gone back a second time and been like, "Oh, that was actually way better than the first time"?
Yeah, I mean, like there's movies out there that I can't say I've hated a movie and then like decided to like it, but there was one I was like, Constantine. Constantine is a movie I was convinced I was going to hate, and then I saw it on a preview, and I was like, that was okay, that was pretty good. And then as time went on, I'm like, no, this movie's an absolute banger. I freaking love it. So it's grown on me as time goes on. But yeah, I can't say that I've seen a movie that I hated and saw it again and went, oh no, I was totally wrong on that one. Well, this is, the movie has not done very well, and like the marketing was really was poor leading up to it. I think for me, and like when you look at, like, my wife was like, why is there a red Hulk? When you hear Hulk, there's green Hulk, and that's who she knows. So she's like, why is Hulk red all of a sudden, right? And I think for a lot of people, that may have been a big question for them. Why did Hulk all of a sudden become red and change colors? And why is Captain America no longer in there? And for me personally, if I missed any of the Marvel movies, like, I'm out. Like, because it's this, I don't want to have to go back and see 3 previous movies that I missed to get caught up on what's happening in Captain America, in the new one, right? So, that I think that's the trouble with having a universe, if you will, is that you have to be really in it, and you got to be totally invested. From a business perspective, it does build brand allegiance for sure. As people, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, before the first Iron Man was released, the idea of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe was like kind of crazy.
It was very niche, but now Marvel has become this big brand that literally everybody knows. So it's worked from that perspective. But I don't know. For me, that's kind of been the big thing for me, is just having to keep up with everything. But there was a lot of talk about the star, obviously Anthony Mackie, and he's been making the rounds. He appeared on a podcast called Pivot. Have you heard of this show before?
I've not heard of the show, but I saw a couple of clips. I know there's one more that came out today, but
yeah, the clip that we're going to talk about today is him talking about. Now, once again, you don't have to agree with like the guy personally or everything that comes out of his mouth, but I do think what he says here is pretty interesting. And this is him talking about the death of pretty much masculinity in America.
Yes.
Love to get your thoughts on this.
I keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like, your kids. And no, I don't give I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he's going to straighten the other ones out. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night. This alarm is on. You text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, you know? And so for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different.
Hold up. All right, thank you for that.
He's 100% right. He's 100% right. You know, with right now, you know, what's the last thing I told my oldest son, who's an adult, but I told you take care of your mom because he's with his mom right now, you know, while she's dealing with her stuff. He's 100% right. And it's Hollywood, and it is social. It has been tech companies, Hollywood, our government, the world government, who has eroded masculinity, who has made who has used the term toxic masculinity as a broad term of all masculinity. And that's what's led to dudes thinking they're girls. It's led to a lot of confusion. You couple that with man, your brother's been amazing on this, on COVID, on how that's broken so many people. That's played into this too. But the erosion of masculinity is something that was actually planned. This is a planned thing. And it's because there is a sect of people who actually believe a matriarchy would be better. That's a small sect, but it exists, and it really exists in Hollywood. And it's also, you know, who runs Hollywood? The gays. And so, like, there's been that eroding masculinity, and they've just driven all the. I'll stay in my lane in Hollywood. They've driven all the masculine talent away. That, like, they're just gone. So what's missing from Star Wars? Masculinity. What's missing from Star Trek? What's missing from Doctor Who? What's missing? Masculinity. What is Harry Potter filled with? Written by a woman. Masculinity. Yep. So, and that's, you know, Harry Potter's a great balance of it, just like Doctor Who used to be. You know, that's why the Harry Potter fandom and Doctor Who fandom are pretty much split 50-50 men and women.
And
right?
It's weird that you say that, because back in the days when the books were first coming out, it was honestly, I feel like it was more for men, Harry Potter. Like, it was a lot more male dominated. And now it's a lot more female dominated because all the men have been pushed away.
Yep.
They've been completely pushed away.
Pushed away from the fandoms.
Yep.
In the forums and everything, like, anytime a dude would be a dude, they would, you know, and it was always the, you know, the women who came in, like, especially, you know, this with gaming. Gaming's got a culture. That's just the way it is. And there are a bunch of women who can hang, but there's a bunch who can't. So because they can't hang, well, it's the dude's problem. No, it's your problem. It's your problem because you're taking everything personal that the dude. When I throw gamer words at Jeremy, it is a term of endearment. That's how we communicate as men. All right.
Right.
And that locker room talk is how we communicate as men. And making that evil is one of the most evil things that has been done to our society. Right. This is how men communicate. This is how men nurture each other by giving each other shit. What it does is it makes you realize, it takes the stick out of your ass. You don't take yourself so seriously, right? You're there to as a dad, you're there to protect your family and stuff, but you also, there's a balance there if you're not taking yourself that seriously. Come on.
So a couple things, right? Anthony Mackie is our age, like he's 46 years old, right? Mm-hmm. He was raised in a different time, and he's bringing his kids up according to those values, which when I say a different time, I mean a better time, right? Yes. When men were men, and men treated women like women, opened the door for them, said yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Important things that I teach my daughters, that, that a man should open the door for you, and that you do say yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and everything there. But you know what's funny? Because I'm staying here. My family's out here on the beach. They're 100 feet away from me. And we were all sitting in this living room last night. And we were watching a show that I think would be deemed extremely, it would be toxic masculinity. But I'm telling you this right now. This show is, it holds up today. It's hilarious. And I think that it's just good old fashioned home values. And that is Home Improvement. If you've watched Home Improvement lately, with Tim Allen, Home Improvement is spectacular. Yep. And you have a strong male. You have, and yes, he screws up, but he's balanced with another strong wife. His wife gives it right back to him. The kids give him shit the entire time. He gives his kids shit, but he's there for them. He is a father. He's a proud father, and he goes out of his way to make sure that he every time there's a lesson for his kids. And guess what? That man is still learning. He's learning from his neighbor Wilson across the way, who's there to educate him about things. He has questions, and it's okay for men to talk to each other. Like, that show is such a strong show, and it's cool to see that, Tim Allen's made a couple different, spiritual successors. He did Last Man Standing to it, which was a really good show, and he has another one. Yeah. But Tim Allen's bit, whether he's had his issues for sure personally, but the messages that he has in his shows are really, really strong. And I think you can go back and watch. If today's generation went back and watched Home Improvement, they would learn a lot. And like I said, my kids and their boy cousins, I got two girls, they have boy cousins, and everybody was hooked watching that show. They loved everything about it. They loved the little jokes. They loved that he was there. And they couldn't stop watching it last night. They watched 3 episodes of Home Improvement last night because it resonated with them, and it still was there. It's great. I would love to see that returned in some way, shape, or form. So, but bringing it back to go ahead, Gary.
No, I was going to say, I think it might. I mean, as long as people it's being designated, right? A lot of this stuff is being like Angel Studios and stuff. But I think definitely Hollywood is now seeing dollar signs with that. It's taken them a really long time to understand that woke and identity doesn't sell, authenticity does. And that's a word you're going to hear a lot. But, you were talking about like going away from the brand earlier. You're not being authentic to your own brand. Disney Star Wars is not authentic to the Star Wars brand, just to simplify it for you. So I think it will. I think a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff, and there's cringe stuff in his stuff too. But
for sure.
There's a lot of family shit though, and that's why a lot of people like it. And that's the whole point. The biggest lie that's been sold to women is feminism, because feminism is the one who demonized motherhood, the greatest job in the world. And you know what? It doesn't mean you can't work. I watched my wife be a mom and have a career. It's possible. It's just a lot of extra work. But if you're into it, if you really want this career and you want kids, it's possible. So we're not saying sit at home, but if you do want to sit at home, that's fine too. There's nothing bad about that. And you're contributing to society much more than some single woman going off into her 50s, not having any kids, and then wondering what the fuck went wrong. Like that's the lie that they've been sold, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think any man knows that they couldn't. It's very, very hard to replicate, and I know I could not do my wife's job as a mother, and she also works and stuff. Like I'm just not wired for that. She's way better of a person than I ever will be. So
yeah.
But,
somebody sent a super chat. I'm going to read it. It was masculinity. I'm going to paraphrase. Masculinity is the greatest threat to tyranny. That is true. That is 100% true. Just look what Antifa is filled up with. You see any dudes in there? See any men? No,
of course not.
You don't.
Of course not. God, that's crazy. Hey, give it up for the Dasco, who came a plus member. Thanks so much, the Dasco. Also, tomato soup and Joshua Mansfield became plus member. Sorry, I butchered that. Thank you guys very much for your support over at Side Scrollers Plus. We genuinely appreciate that. Speaking of plus, we're going to head over there in just a few minutes. We're going to read these super chats. I'll definitely do a square up for everything under 10 Blabs. Okay, I'll do a square up for that a little bit just to value Gary's time here. We'll want to make sure we take advantage of that, as well as so we'll get to all those a little bit later on. I'll read every over 10 right now, and then we're going to go to Side Scrollers Plus and do our post show where we have some other topics to talk about. And if so inclined, you can call in and ask Gary some great questions. It'll be great. Bullet Shepherd says, this one's for Gary. I'm cockboy. On steel balls I ride. I'm coming right in your eye. Thank you for that, Bullet Shepherd. Let's see, very proud of that one right there. We will read everything over 10. Just, Oy vey, the brown man is pulling away from the brainwashing, and we don't have that USA ID money to keep shaming men. Quick, bring glowy idiots like the Tate brothers to keep the shame going. Thank you, Salon. Appreciate that. Bentley came in with a 10, says, unlike the regular Hulk, who's been piloting in space in the MCU, the Red Hulk tends to crash while flying. Taker says, does Gary remember Red Brown's Captain America movie? Yep. And the other Captain movie in
Matt Salinger. I have original one sheets from the Matt Salinger Captain America movie. I own copies of it. I remember them all. And I watched Red Brown and his clear shield riding around his motorcycle. It was freaking awesome. Loved it.
Marvelin says, signing up for Starlink now, best advertisement for it. Yeah, I know. It's been a rough go today. Sorry. Blabs, this one's for you.
Not a fan of the tall people, or what our kinds call them, biggers.
Thank you, John. And Jeremy, the cyborg, came back and says, talking about men being pushed out of spaces. I'm a writer, and when I was working on my novel, I was attacked by feminists in forums for what I wrote. I eventually gave up on writing my novel. Oh, Jeremy, don't do that, man. You can't let them win.
Don't let them win.
Got to get back at it, brother. Got to get back at it.
Let them win.
Okay, we are going to head over to sidescrollersplus.com right now. That is our locals page. But we have some exclusive stuff over there. We're doing a lot of stuff, wrestling stuff, entertainment stuff. And every day we're doing a post-show call-in where it allows you guys to interact with us and talk about the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So I encourage you guys to head over there and join us over at Side Scrollers Plus right now. Use promo code PLUS and get a discount on your annual membership. Appreciate you guys popping in. Kick, you guys have a great day. We'll see you guys later on. See you later. Rumble, we'll see you guys later on. Thanks so much for your support today. Rumble, you guys are great. And you guys over on YouTube, appreciate you guys as always. Once again, head over to Side Scrollers Plus right now. Use promo code PLUS, get a discount, and you can join us. But in the meantime, remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. We'll see you guys over there. Plus, momentarily. See you later.
Fatality.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.